Welcome, everybody. You're in my new studio because that's the world that we live in now. My name is Elad Gross. I'm running for Attorney General of Missouri. Despite looking like I'm 16, I swear I used to be an Assistant Attorney General of Missouri when Chris Koster was there and when we used to have an Attorney General who was doing his job. Unfortunately, we are at a time right now when we are seeing very little leadership, as folks have already described here, statewide. And it's unfortunate because it's a time that we really need it. After leaving the Attorney General's office, I served as a special public defender for the state, which means that I was a public defender who was so special that I didn't get paid anything to do that job. Ended up working quite a bit after a case I took when a young girl who was 18 years old was arrested, put in jail in the workhouse in St. Louis City wrongfully. We ended up actually doing a lot of work around justice reform issues in St. Louis City and statewide as well. And a lot of reform that's happened in the city has been a result of this young girl deciding to stand up and asking me to help. So got very involved there in civil rights and a whole lot of other stuff involved in that case. And I've been an educator for over 13 years now. I have a nonprofit that I've been running in St. Louis City to teach kids from kindergarten up through high school and even past that. So I've been doing that for quite some time, and it's pretty great. I was actually just talking to a kiddo during this stream who wants to help out with the campaign and has been doing so. So, really exciting way to get so many folks involved in our state, and this campaign has been doing that. So before COVID, the pre-COVID time, we had traveled to over 400 meetings in the state of Missouri. I was looking at the numbers the other day. I think 409 is what we hit, and over 41,000 miles in a very broken car. But we made it, and we've met with a lot of folks. We built a very big volunteer network all across the state that is doing work right now. And we've shifted a lot of work to doing service for our state, especially at this time. So I know a lot of you had questions about voting. So I wanted to let you know what we're doing about that as a campaign and how we're working on that throughout our state. So if you go to a website, it's called votemissouri.org. And my buddy Daniel is going to be putting that in the chat box as well, so you have a link to it. VoteMissouri.org is a project that volunteers actually came to us and said they'd really like to get involved in, and I believe that the Attorney General should be doing a lot more to protect our right to vote. We've proposed lots of plans around that. And so on Vote Missouri, it's actually a way to help you apply for an absentee ballot for those of you who are living in counties where that's difficult or where they're not sending that to you. So far, we have 41 counties throughout the state, I believe it's 41, maybe 42 now, that have signed up to accept your absentee ballot request by email. So we've helped make that an electronic system. I've been talking to friends who are local election authorities throughout our state to get their input to make it better. So I encourage you to check out that website and to share it with people. We are improving it over time, and we are adding counties to it who do accept absentee vote by the absentee vote application by email. Then they'll send you the thing so that you'll actually get to do it. We've also been working a lot with all of the voter protection groups that have been discussed already, and that's an extremely important lawsuit that's going now. That's a lawsuit that our Attorney General should have brought on his own in order to protect the rights of the people of this state. But like I mentioned before, we're lacking leadership in Missouri. Two is for folks. So we've for fundraising, especially for last quarter, we kind of shut it down right at the end there. We did. And we actually have been fundraising for nonprofits in our state, especially food banks and folks who are doing providing childcare services for first responders and emergency workers. And so I would also recommend, if you can, to go to our website. It's eladgross.org/COVID. And Daniel will be putting that in the chat box as well. That has a list of 8 nonprofit organizations in Missouri that you can actually donate to if you're able, and describe some of the work that they're doing. But if you've got any questions, you can always let me know. We're also trying to do a lot of PSAs, and we've started a podcast. That's why you're in the studio right now. It's called the Elad Pod. So it comes out as an audio podcast. It's also a live show that we do on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. But we try to bring in folks. We're bringing in a doctor this weekend to talk about why you probably should not be going to a beach right now in the middle of the pandemic. So we're trying to do a lot of education work in the state as well and bring in, some interesting folks so that we're trying to get as many people involved as possible. On Wednesday of this week, I'll be going to court against the governor and the attorney general of our state. I am fighting for the Sunshine Law. This came out of an investigation I'd been doing into dark money in Missouri. And I've been on the forefront of that really in the country in fighting the influence of big money and hidden campaign contributions in our politics. I think that's such an important fundamental issue to take care of. It's a reason why our democracy has not been serving us. It's been serving people with power and money, and we need to put an end to that. And again, that should be what our attorney general is doing. He's not. So I think that this is a very important office. Obviously, I work there. It has a lot of involvement in so many areas of our lives. Healthcare is a big one that's been mentioned today already. Our attorney general today is suing in federal court to end the Affordable Care Act and to end Medicaid expansion, not just in Missouri, not just our attempt to put it on the ballot and then to vote on it, but throughout the entire country. Our attorney general today, during a pandemic, is literally trying to take access to affordable care away from millions of Americans. In my view, we need a new attorney general very badly. I think we need somebody who's going to restore the integrity to that office. We need someone who's been there. We need someone who's going to show up. And that's why I'm running for attorney general. So I'm very excited to be here. I really want to leave time to answer your questions because it's my favorite part. But if you've got a question, I don't get to it, the phone number that you see on the page, not the text one, but the one right near the website, that is my cell phone number. You can text it anytime you need to, if you want to call, whatever it is. But if you've got a question, please go ahead and text it or call me. The text number at the bottom, that's for Daniel. And Daniel is our volunteer manager. So if you'd like to get involved in our campaign and help us get the word out and help us serve our state, please do. We really need you involved. So I appreciate the time. I appreciate you putting this on. And thank you so much for being here, everybody. It really is going to take all of us to make a big change in our state. And goodness knows we need it now more than ever.
Thank you, Elad. And we do have a question, and that is, what is your support in rural Missouri and with Republicans?
Yeah, it's interesting because when I started talking and going around the state, my first visits were in the boot heel, and my first visits were sometimes with Republicans who were coming to these meetings too. And, I have found that no matter what party you're in, you agree that we should not have corruption in our government. You agree that we should hold our elected officials accountable. And, folks are really looking at the campaign that we're running and the way that we're running it and the way that we're going everywhere. We're not excluding anybody. And even those trolls who come on the Twitter account and come on the page, I talk to them. And just the other day, started texting with one and convinced him to turn his vote around. So it's been good. One of the biggest challenge that we have is to get the word out to as many people as possible. And I really think wherever you've seen this in different states throughout our country, when folks have been fighting this kind of corruption, when they've said your voice is not being heard and people really resonate with that, folks vote and they come out. But we need to make sure that people know, which is why we're trying all these different avenues, which is why we've got, a podcast going now and everything else. But yes, having volunteers coming and helping us text and call and contact folks is so essential to getting this done. But the benefit is before all this happened, I was in a lot of parts of Missouri, urban, rural, everywhere in between. And we've been just about everywhere. So it's been a very good response.
Well, thank you, Elad. And that's our time. I know you've already told everyone how to get in touch with you. And it's on the screen in case anyone didn't hear you.